It wasn't just that they ended this trip and now 0-3 on this West Coast trip. It was that they had to stay up late on a Friday night going into Saturday and watch Jackson Hayes for 16 minutes of basketball. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers postgame show here again on a late night, presented by our good friends Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Kyle Newbeck, Derek Bodner, Devon Gibbons, Brianna with us as well. You in the comments there, hanging out with us on this late night. And you guys know how much I can't stand Jackson Hayes. And I had to sit there and watch him for 16 minutes and he yelled.
I think a lot of people can't stand Jackson Hayes, quite frankly.
Yeah. Well, here we are. The trip is finally over, guys. They're now 1-7. They fall by 10 points. But as we know,
this is pure vodka, by the way. This is not water. I'm just joking.
Yes, happy birthday to Kyle and Jackson Hayes. Aaron says Jackson Hayes catching direct hits. So what?
I was going to say I am too annoyed at so many people on this team to even care about Jackson Hayes right now.
Well, let's talk about it. 0-3 on this trip, Derek, and they come back home to face the Hornets on Sunday. And we might as well tell people that we're going to have a watch along on Sunday as well for the Hornets and the 76ers. So hang out with us on Sunday, pregame at 6:30, the watch along immediately thereafter. And we also have the watch party and the live show for the Orlando Magic taking on the Sixers, presented by Coors Light. That's on the 15th. We got you all covered. Watch along, watch party. We got everything going on. Derek, though, go for it.
I want to watch the back of my eyelids right now rather than this team, man. This team stinks. It's terrible. Devon, you didn't even let the intro music play. You're trying to get through this show so quickly that it was like burner, and Devon's like, welcome in the middle of the circus. So that's about as good a commentary on the state of this team right now as you're going to get.
Yeah, well, that one was not good, man. They provided some good things. We'll talk about, of course, the guys off the bench. They did some really nice things, but they just undermanned, overmatched, and here we are again talking about yet another loss.
Yeah, and look, I think of the three losses, this is probably the one that annoys me the least. Now, that is definitely damning with faint praise a little bit there, but especially when they struggled in that third quarter, and the third quarters have just been absolutely disastrous for this team. Like, this is a team that they were tied 60-60 at one point late in the second half, and you're going, oh, man, maybe they have a chance. Nope, 8-0 run to end the half. They come out and they score like 9 points in the first 10 minutes of the second quarter. Somehow ended up with 21 on the quarter. They scored a bunch in the last few minutes, but the offense was really stuck in mud. Again, offensively, I at least thought the process was a little better in that third quarter than it was the other night against the Clippers. Like, they were moving a little bit better. They were, both the ball and players, but who cares at this point? Like, at some point, you've got to make enough shots to win a game. At some point, you've got to have a star take over. And look, Paul George, I'm going to cut him a little bit of slack because it's his third game back. He's only playing 3, 4, 5 minute stints at a time, but going 0 for 6 from 3 when you really needed a huge night for him, that one hurt. Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson both thought that they were capable of just going ISO whenever they wanted to. It worked out about how well you would expect. It's just, this is the one night where it's like, all right, offensively, at least, it just felt like this was a team trying to do more than they're capable of, which you understand to some degree. I actually think a lot of my complaints will be more on the other side of the floor. It's just they needed to have like an exceptional Paul George game, and they needed to outshoot the Lakers from the perimeter, and they need to do all these kinds of things, and they just didn't have it in them.
Derek, you mentioned the phrase "stuck in mud." Who do you think played the most minutes of any
Jared
Philadelphia
McCain.
76er tonight?
Kyle Lowry.
It was Kyle Lowry.
Okay.
38-year-old Kyle Lowry, who on media day, Nick Nurse said, we're going to use him a lot less this year, have a more, a smaller, more defined role. Yeah. And obviously Maxi's out, Joel's out, things have gone wrong. Kyle Lowry played 31 and a half minutes tonight in the year of our Lord 2024. That is insane. It is unacceptable for any team that has like any serious inclination to try to win games, right? And just to be clear, this is not Kyle Lowry's fault that he looks bad in a 31-minute per game role at 38 years old. He's a 6-foot guard who never was overly athletic in the first place, who just has no chance to create any separation anymore. So if you want to look at a main culprit for why the offense can at times look stuck in the mud, it's because he moves on a general level as if he's stuck in the mud. As someone who's only a few years younger than Kyle, I know what it feels like to try to do something and you just don't move as quickly as you used to be able to. Fortunately for me, I just get to sit here in front of a microphone with you guys, and I don't have to try to attack Anthony Davis on a switch. And I don't have to, attack Cam Reddish, go at other, even if it's Austin Reaves. Austin Reaves looks like he's like Gary Payton athletically compared to Kyle Lowry right now. So I like that. And I'm not trying to pile on him, right? It's a symptom of a broader problem.
It's not his fault. Right. Yeah.
It is not his fault. When he plays 10 to 15 minutes, I think he can still offer something. But when that's the starting point, he's your lead guard coming into the game. And when you just don't trust Jared McCain to really be like a solo ball handler. And he had some issues inside the arc tonight, right? He finished 6 for 17. We're going to get into positives for Jared McCain. Ultimately, he was 6 for 17 from the field. Kind of says it all about where we're at. But when you start with Lowry is your guy, when Paul George is playing 5-minute shifts and maxes out at, he played under 25 minutes again tonight, just barely, just about 25 minutes. He can't get into a rhythm. It's just a disjointed, out of sync, I don't want to say talentless, but like there is no North Star for this team. You can't just dump it to Paul George and say, go figure it out. There's nobody else on the roster now that Maxey went down that's just like, hey, Tyrese, hunt a switch, go do this. And so they have stretches where, Yabusele comes in, some of the bench guys come in, and they're flowing through some handoffs. There's some, pin down screens and extra action happening off ball. And they create some open threes, but there are only so many clean looks that you can manufacture with offense, right? At a certain point, you have to manufacture offense with talent and skill and ball handling, and they just don't have those things right now. It's the stark reality of where they're at. They have enough talent to support the guys who are the top end stars. They do not have the talent right now to do anything other than try to grind out games and hope that you can win 3-point shootouts. But they don't have the personnel to win 3-point shootouts.
Well, they don't really have the personnel to grind out games. If you had to pick one thing this team does at an above average level with the current healthy personnel, what would it be?
Consistently? Nothing.
I was going to make a joke about Jared McCain's TikToks, but I'm not an anti-TikTok.
No, we're pro TikTok. Yeah.
Well, I'm just pro.
They would be probably
for the
TikToks. Yeah. Okay, so they're above average podcasters, above average TikTokers. I think that's probably fair. Unfortunately, that doesn't translate on the basketball court. I'm not sure I could come up with something right now.
Yeah, the Igavini answers your question. Derek perfectly says consistently they lose. So that's what they've been doing. They lose. Yeah, that's the thing that they do really well right now. And it is tough because look, it's crazy to look at this lineup and this personnel and say that, all right, Paul George is going to be the guy who is the lead of it all with the other two out, and everything's gonna have to flow through him. The best case scenario you can ask for is to get the Kelly Oubre that we saw last year in March, where he played really good basketball with Joel Embiid out, playing the second fiddle basically to Tyrese Maxey and giving you that type of production. But he hasn't been able to do that and stepping up in this role when Paul George was out and now Tyrese Maxey out. So when he doesn't have that and you're relying on Caleb Martin to hit those open shots from the perimeter or put the ball on the floor. As Kyle mentioned, Andre Drummond looking to go one-on-one as well to try to get some offense going, period. That's where you are. That's where you're a problem. And that's why your record right now is 1-7, the worst in the NBA, because of that, because of what the personnel is. We continue to say this roster was built to go behind those three. They have not had those three yet. They have only had two of them for a game and a half. And that's why their record shows what it shows. And it's indicative of the fact that they do not have enough personnel to withstand the loss of those three guys in the lineup together, or even seeing two of them in the lineup together consistently for those two to develop a chemistry to try to put together something to win a game where both go off for 20 plus points, make opportunities for their teammates to get some good looks, some good shots, play solid defense, and eke out and squeak out and grind out a win where eventually you're saying, all right, it's going to catch up to them. They're going to get a blowout win as well. That's where they are right now. That's why they're 1-7. And it's a frustrating watch. Now where they have to come back home, they're going to have some tough ones, a back-to-back on Tuesday and Wednesday. Charlotte here, who is a fun up-and-coming team, playing decently as well. We've been talking about their record where it can spiral and get out of control for them. And this could be the reality for the 76ers for the very near future if they cannot find a way to get Embiid and George on the floor together, figure it out very quickly where they squeeze out some wins, some close wins to get back in that win column.
Could spiral. Devon, they're 1-7. It spiraled.
They did spiral.
Let me tell the people a little bit of positivity, just to say it, because it's a fact. They're only 3 games back of third place in the Eastern Conference because there are only 2 teams above 500 in the Eastern Conference.
The rest of the Eastern Conference being mediocre is a fair point. They haven't lost as much ground as you would have expected, but boy,
that's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Let me just say, because I see it a lot in the chat. We talk about it with our Discord members, and it's popped up quite a bit over the last couple of days. This team is not tanking for Cooper Flag unless Joel Embiid suffers a season-ending injury.
There will be no SAG for
Flag. It is not
Flag.
happening.
Yep.
So, I mean, we could get into that in deeper discussion at some point. And I know
it's Bailey, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're going to be watching some Rutgers games in a little bit. I'll tell you
that. We will. Yes, we will. We're going.
But there is no reasonable situation where they throw in the towel unless Joel literally cannot play. Like, you are not looking him, PG, and Maxey in the eyes, and their health reasonably healthy with a reasonable shot to be in the playoffs and compete, and saying, we're going to throw the rest of the season away to maybe retain the pick, let alone, win the lottery and draft the guy you guys are talking about.
And that maybe is very much in doubt too. Like, it's only a maybe.
Yeah. So it's become such a hot button thing that we'll talk about it in broader detail at some point. It's not happening. So what you have to get to is, like, these games, we all have to get through together, right? Us on the show, you guys watching, you guys commenting, like, you have to set your expectations at a certain level, because at this point, now that we're 8 games into this, we've had a bunch of 1-star games. First, it was Maxey. It's mostly been Maxey. Now we've seen the version of it with Paul George. We briefly saw Maxey and Paul, and that looked pretty good against Phoenix, who, by the way, Phoenix just moved to, I believe, 7-1 tonight with another crunch time win against Dallas on national TV. That's more what it looks like. And when Joel comes back, we will all put high expectations on them, and they need to deliver results. But it is not a reason right now to say the season's over. I get how bleak it is. Unlike you guys, I don't have a choice to not watch the games, right? Like, I'm in this until the bitter end, no matter what happens. But now is not the time to throw in the towel. Now is the time to try to remain calm, to try to say the guy who actually moves the needle, the guy who is the franchise player, the guy who they still apparently believe is capable of MVP level play, so much so that they gave him a $193 million extension. That guy returns Tuesday. That does not erase the frustration. It does not erase the 1-7 start. But once again, they're going to have to rely on him to be Superman, and that just is what it is, right? That is where we are at.
To Devon's point, they're not going to look at it with, let's even say they lose against Charlotte. They're 1-8. Let's say maybe they're 4 games out of a top 4 seed. They're not going to sit here and go like, well, we're 4 games back with 73 left to play and Joel Embiid returning. Let's just throw in the towel. There's just no chance of them doing that. And look, I understand the skepticism of Joel Embiid staying healthy. I certainly understand the skepticism of all 3 of them staying healthy for a long portion of the season. But if they do, and Daryl's going to give this every chance they can to see how it looks with those 3 on the floor, they're going to win a lot of games. And as frustrating as it is, and look, we sit here, we're doing a show at 1 a.m. And I don't mean to kink shame all the people watching this, but like you're sitting here after having just watched that terrible basketball, listening to a show about the
Just
Philadelphia
letting it
76ers.
out. We're all letting it out.
Maniac.
We're going to have to vent every now and then. You all want to get it off your chest, but we're all sitting here because we want to watch good basketball in May and June. And to Kyle's point, as long as Joel Embiid plays, even if he only plays 25 or 30 games, they're going to win too many games to even really contend for Cooper Flag, possibly to even contend with keeping that pick. Let's see how it looks. And get frustrated in the moment, vent in the moment, rant in the moment, and then come back and, all right, great, Joel's back. Let's see how they look at playing basketball.
Yep, absolutely. And next week they may lose a close game to New York and Cleveland, both of them, which would not be great, of course, because at that point they'll be 1-10. But we'll see some things where we'll be like, okay, this is what it looks like. They're not too far back. They'll start to figure it out. All right, we'll come back. We'll get to more of that. Kyle mentioned something about Embiid being Superman. Derek talked about it. We'll talk about that a little bit more when he comes back, what this team might look like, everything from tonight, our player of the game. We'll get into it all right here. Late night post game right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. And as soon as I talk about Kelly Oubre, RC Campbell has to bring up bricks, talking about he bricks the team out of ties and leads, and then gives up wide open threes on the defense. Well, folks, what does that make you think of when you think about bricks? It makes you think about construction, right? Well, family owned, our great friends from CJAM Construction, family owned home remodeler specializing in decks, bathrooms, and flooring. Their goal is to help their clients alleviate the challenges and frustrations that come with home remodeling. And while they don't have to worry about the bricks net per se for certain things, they mix all of that in with the decks, bathroom, flooring as well. So when you do that, you're looking for a new place, a new part to be taken care of in your house, to be fixed up in your home. CJAM Construction is the place for you to go. Again, family owned, so it's very easy for them to communicate. They understand exactly what you want. They listen to you. They hear you out. They understand what you want, how you want to put it into your home and make your home very, very comfortable and look great as well. So if you are looking for some work to be done in your home, especially with the weather changing a little bit before it gets too cold, they want to jump in right away, be sure we got to tell you about the PHLY people to receive 15% off when you call 856-329-2933 about your next home project. See the full selection of luxury vinyl plank flooring and learn more about the products and warranties on their website, cjamconstruction.com/flooring.
And if floors are something that is also on your home improvement to-do list, Empire Today is a place you will want to stop. With Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. Empire Today keeps shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not to overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles. With Empire Today, they have a virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. You just snap a picture and you can instantly see how the new floors will look in your room. Flooring is all that Empire Today does. They live and breathe flooring, so you can be confident you're getting honest, upfront advice. They also service their own warranty, so with Empire Today, you won't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when you use the promo code PHLY. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHLY for details.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. And some fun Discord going on there in the chat about RJ being back in here. Why is he so negative? And he says, because I hate the excuses about this team, all kinds of stuff. People saying, don't worry about it. They're a 2 seed disguised as a 4 or 5 seed once everybody is back and healthy. We know that if those players were healthy, all three of them, they would not be sporting this record that they are currently sporting. And as Kyle mentioned, when Embiid does come back, kind of like that Superman mode. Here's the one problem with the Superman mode. When he gets into Superman mode, sometimes that does result into an injury because he's trying to do too much because of how good he is, trying to put the team on his shoulders, carry them to a victory, similar to the play that really hurt his knee when he buckled against the Knicks by throwing it off the backboard and getting a finish. So I hope that that's not the case where he does those types of things, plays a little bit smarter, just plays within himself to do the things that we know he can do when he's out there on the floor and impacting the game that he does in that Superman mentality, instead of going the extra mile there and throwing the ball off the backboard. We talk about him diving on the floor, jumping out of bounds, things of that nature. And it's tough when you say that to a competitor when they're on the floor trying to make those plays, maybe even forcing himself to play a back-to-back guys because they put themselves in such a hole that he wants to help them out. It may not be Tuesday and Wednesday against the Knicks in Cleveland, but in general going forward, where sometimes, again, like he mentioned at the very beginning of the season in the preseason and training camp, that sometimes they're going to have to pull him back a little bit and tell him not to do certain things because of that. So that part I'm going to be interested to monitor when he gets back on the floor and when he decides to play that first back-to-back to try to help this team out.
Okay, so let's talk about something for when Joel Embiid comes back. Yes or no, would you play Yabusele as the primary backup to Joel?
No, not yet. I do want to see Yabusele at the 4. I want to see him at the 4.
Screw it. I'm there. Do it.
I think Andre has been that bad that you have to consider it, right? And I think, Devon, to your point, it is very early, and part of the reason you would not do it would be to say maybe you alienate him if you pull this early, right? Like, this is not necessarily the job that Drummond was meant for, right? Like, you want him to be able to hold down the fort in these games, and they signed him and gave him extra money with the intent, like, we need you to start these games that Joel is going to miss. But the main thing is the backup to Joel and those 15 minutes, those 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is. The problem has been they just look way, way worse, way worse with Drummond on the floor. Like, the numbers back it up. The eye test backs it up. It just, and Yabusele, when he's out there, you can see the limitations, right? They don't rebound all that well in those lineups. He actually has gotten a little bit better. He's made more rim protection plays this week than he did the rest of the games combined in 3 games. So there's a little bit of progress there. But I just think you see a level of floor intelligence in reads, in frankly just like effort on defense, in like getting out to the 3-point line, rotating, or just like pinching on somebody from if they're playing his zone and he, gets out and gets in a passing lane, arms out, hands up. He does a lot of the little stuff. And then the other end of the floor, he just helps facilitate better offense. He screens, he rescreens, he relocates around the perimeter as a shooter. He rolls harder than Drummond does, which is insane because Drummond, that should be like one of the things you do well, right? You are a big body going downhill. You should be able to do that just on pure inertia is going to like move you there, right? Like you're just, gravity is going to push you in that direction. And Yabusele does a better job of getting downhill. He's certainly a better pick and pop guy. He's a better passer. without turning the ball over as Drummond does so often. So other than not pissing Drummond off and the rebounding thing, I don't see the case for playing Drummond over him right now. Now, that doesn't mean that has to be the case the whole year, right? And we might see Yabusele played 15 minutes in a few consecutive games, and he might stink it up in that role. And I would rather see him get more reps at the 4, where I think they need him to be long-term. But if you're just talking about like what they need to do to win now, Drummond has to play less. He just has not been good, and everything flows out of that in that starting lineup.
So the only reason I'm hesitating, saying no to your, or the only reason I won't endorse playing Yabu as a backup 5 when Joel comes back is just because I kind of want to see Drummond when he's only asked to play 15 minutes, when he's only playing a bench role. See if maybe you get a better version of him. See if maybe he has a little more energy and he's not as slow recovering on some of these shots. But based on what has happened, and look, I fully get the limitations Yabu has. And if you look at the on-off numbers, the defense has been sort of equally bad with both of them on the floor. It's like right around 119, 120 for both defensive rating for both of them. That's bad. I sort of like what Yabu's giving you defensively just because I think his read and react is so much better. His decision-making is a lot better. And you can, work around somebody who is in position but undersized a lot easier. And you can work around somebody who is just constantly out of position. And Andre Drummond right now is constantly out of position. This pick and roll defense is so bad, so agonizingly bad. But it's offensively, that Kyle pointed out, has been just way more fluid. And the Sixers right now have a negative 18 net rating coming into the game with Andre Drummond playing. And that's Andre Drummond's playing largely with starters, especially at the start of the game, start of the second half. They have just been untenable. He has been an absolute disaster at the 5. So I will say no when Embiid comes back. I will still let Andre be the backup center. But it's going to be on a very short leash because I just want to see if he can play better in short spurts against bench units. But if it's based on what's happened right now, no, he has no business being out there.
Well, they're bad on both ends of the floor, offense and defense, with both of them on the floor, offensively and defensively. One looks better. You're absolutely right, but they continue to lose in that way. So for what Yabusele is, for the things that he has shown us, to have the faith and even asking the question that Kyle presented to us, that's why I want to see him at the floor 4, because I think that value will be there for him at that position when he does. Secondly, I'll add this, that when Embiid does come back, and Kyle, you're probably more talking down the line, but we're also looking at the moment because they want wins. Embiid's probably going to come back on a minute restriction too, to start at least this week. And when he does, now we're overextending Yabusele again as that backup 5, where once again, he's not good on defense either. Now, I know they're going against New York, that's Towns, and then you're talking both Mobley and Allen for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's going to be up against an advantage there too. While he's stronger than both of those two guys for Cleveland, they're much bigger in terms of height and more skill when we look at what Evan Mobley does. So for at least right now, and the rebounding purposes, I stick with Andre Drummond for that reason, because of the minute restriction. And then long term, I would like to see Yabusele at the 4. Now, there may be a moment in those games when Embiid does return Tuesday or Wednesday, whichever one he plays, probably Tuesday, that we do find him playing the 5 because he's playing so well, where he's not giving up too much on the defensive end, but also doing the positive things that you guys have just mentioned about the offensive side. That's the problem that they have right now, that we're even talking about this, but it's also a positive sign that we're discussing this, because he has played well enough where down the line this could really be something where he's in that rotation and we're not too worried about the minutes that he's playing at whatever front court position Yabusele is playing when all 3 of those guys are back and healthy for the Sixers.
And look, to be clear, I don't love Yabusele as a backup center. I would like to see him playing at 4. Right. I want somebody who can alter a shot at the rim. I tweeted out a couple days ago that opponents had shot like 14 of 14 at the rim when Yabu was the closest defender. There's limitations. I get it. You just don't have a viable backup center right now, which is bad because you invested some resources, some of your last remaining resources, on Andre Drummond to give him that 2-year, $10 million deal. And he's you could have gotten someone probably better at this point with a minimum salary contract. It's been a really, really bad
But
move
we
right
also
now.
haven't seen him as a backup. So, to your point, he's a backup. Now he's supposed to
Yeah, no,
start
I
when
mean,
Embiid
look,
is out, but he's a backup. So let's see what he looks like as a backup, and then playing with more confidence when Embiid does miss those other games. They start to win games. He's playing better. He's playing less minutes. He's not taxed as much. And we'll see how it all plays out. See if that backup big man is actually what he is and playing well, and then decide if there's something that they need to do later on down the line by the trade deadline. All right, let's take a quick break. We come back and we'll get to a few other things. How about the player or players maybe of the game as the Sixers fall in this one, 116-106, 0-3 on the trip, now 1-7 on the campaign, and come back home to host the Charlotte Hornets on Sunday. We'll discuss it all when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show.
Well, folks, you know them from the phrase, the future is bright. Unfortunately, ain't nothing bright around here right now except the sun. But that's exactly what you need from our friends at Shady Rays. Protection for your eyes when it's bright. I know we just hit daylight savings. It gets darker earlier, but you know what that means? That means sunset is earlier. And that's the most dangerous time to be on the road. Sun hitting the horizon. It's rush hour. You're dealing with crazy people on I-95. If you have a pair of Shady Rays polarized sunglasses, I promise you, you will see as clearly as you need to any time of day. You can look stylish. Look, 300,000 people, over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays sunglasses 5 stars. No better testament than that, right? That's a heck of a lot of people who have said, this is a product worth having for style, for eye protection, and just for versatility, right? You can wear them in the car. You can wear them at the beach. You can wear them at a barbecue. You can wear them at a football game or a football tailgate. Big Eagles tailgate coming this weekend, I would presume. Eagles Cowboys, that's a big one. But you can use Shady Rays just about anywhere. And if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear, every pair backed by lost or broken replacements. And if you don't love them, exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. There is no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out the best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
We also want to make sure we tell you about Ace Hardware Home Services. If you've got a leaky pipe, at Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the person to do the fixing. If you've got an air conditioning issue, they've got a person for that as well. And if you've got a faucet you said you would fix over the summer, they've got that person too. Because now they're not just the helpful hardware folks, they're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they've got the trusted pros that keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services are bringing helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store to your front door. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.aceHardwareHomeservices.com to get you started on your next project.
Welcome back to PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. I'm sorry. I'm just laughing at everybody talking about Paul Reed in the chat. RJ said Paul Reed and Caleb Martin got the same shooting coach. Just throwing shade left and right. Overall.
Well, another thing happening in the chat right now, there are some people pining for Bobby Portis. I want you guys to go head over to Milwaukee Bucks social media, find some Bucks fans, and ask them what they think of Bobby Portis right now, because he's been one of the worst rotation players in the entire NBA, and they are bleeding points every time he steps on the floor. So that before everyone is trying to concoct some trades and some moves, I would make sure you're making said moves based on what's happening now and what you remember happening with a player maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Because we've talked about Bobby Portis on this show as a potential front court guy that you could look at some point. He is stinking it up.
Well, Bobby Portis got nothing on Gershon Yabusele after leading the team and scoring at the half with 11 points, finishing the night overall with 14, and he was 3 for 4 from beyond, and 5 for 6 overall, 5 rebounds. Let's get to our player of the game, as we do for every post games. Wait a minute. We got players of the game.
3? We gave it to 3 people?
Wait a second. How am I supposed to keep track of this?
What is this graphic? What
do I put in my spreadsheet for this?
These are the only guys that played well. Jared McCain, Gershon Yabusele, KJ Martin. Nobody was perfect, but they played well. KJ Martin providing the energy that he did off the bench at a 3, athletic, showing some athletic chops there, as we know, getting into the glass, trying to help out there. Yabusele, as just mentioned, Jared McCain with 18, a career high, just playing really well, combining overall for 43 points as they did. That was one bright spot for this team, that the bench played well. And we talked about Jared McCain in the pregame show and how things might be really important for him going forward with the Tyrese Maxey injury, Kyle Lowry getting a lot of minutes, Reggie Jackson as well. Clearly, Jared McCain played much better than Reggie Jackson did in his minutes out there on the floor. Tonight, as Derek has to update the spreadsheet, 3 players in 1 against the Lakers. That's how bad it was.
It's late enough to say this. This is yet another example of why we need to implement ranked choice voting, because a 3-way tie for player of the game
3-way tie
is absolutely absurd. How is
criminal?
What
it is not.
It's not players of the game. It's player of the game. You gotta. If it's the wrong choice, it's the wrong choice. But make a damn decision.
The decision was all 3. That's what the decision was.
You guys haven't noticed, Devon does his player of the game by himself. So
the committee of one over. This is what happens when
ask you for this one.
The whole advantage of doing it with one person is you don't have to debate it. You just say, "Hey, this is my guy." Devon said, "Nope, here's 3 of them. You guys pick." Anyway, to your point. So Jared showed in this game a big reason why people want him to play over, the Lowrys and the Eric Gordons of the world. Although he had the same inside the arc struggles, at least finishing the ball, he was able to get there, which important piece of separation from him and Lowry.
Exactly. Yep.
It did feel like it was snappier. The offense was snappier with him in the game. And I think that first half stretch where it was him, Yabusele, Caleb Martin, KJ, and maybe it was Lowry, but I'm forgetting who the 5th guy is right now. But maybe it was actually Reggie. It was the only time that he was on the floor and they weren't completely falling apart. But it did feel, or no, it was Ricky Council. Sorry, it's 1:20 in the morning. You guys have to forgive me. Having some young guys on the floor who can simply move a little bit means when you get a dribble handoff, it doesn't just mean, okay, now I'm going to stand here with the ball, right? You can get downhill a little bit. You can create a little bit of separation. And then that opens up, defense collapses. So Yabusele had some short roll opportunities. Those get swung around, and then it ends up with a Jared McCain clean look from 3 on the wing, up top, wherever it might be. I just think when you look at the difference of a guy who can shoot but can also still move because he's 20 years old, I think it just makes such a huge difference. And if the logic behind, okay, you're going to play Eric Gordon because he'll shoot the heck out of the ball and he'll look better with Joel Embiid, it's the same argument for McCain, who also can move and also has future value, whether that's to this team or in a trade potentially down the line. So I think they should be trying to get him as many minutes as they reasonably can. He ended up playing 30 tonight, and I was glad to see he had a good early shift, and Nurse just rode him for a while and said, whatever, we're keeping him on the floor. I think he seems inclined to give Jared some rope here, and I hope that Jared's able to take advantage of it because I think they desperately need what he's able to offer.
Yeah, and he had some – look, he shot 2 for 8 inside the arc, which wasn't great. At some point, you have to put the ball in the basket. He had some real nice moves. He had that hesitation move that he got a real good look off. It just didn't go down. And it was just like the ball was moving better. He gave you a chance to get some quick instant offense. He had those 2 no-dip threes in quick succession, and you really gave them a spark. There have been so many guards that just haven't given you that kind of a spark pretty much all season. And there are sort of like Yabusele at center. There are some warts for sure. Like he's going to get swallowed up by a lot of shot blockers at the rim. He's going to really struggle with a lot of players on the perimeter trying to slow them down. He's going to have points where he really struggles to get in the paint by himself because if he's not leveraging that shot, he's still not the quickest with the ball in his hands. But man, I would just rather see that than Reggie Jackson or 32 minutes of Kyle Lowry. And to Kyle's point, I don't want Kyle Lowry out of the rotation. I just want it shrunk in half. No, he gave them a jolt. He would have been my player of the game if I was personally consulted in this matter, which clearly I was not.
You were not.
I thought he gave them a real good spark.
You didn't support gambling Gibbons as props, so you didn't get a say in player of the game.
You're out.
Devon thinks he's making a prop bet with the player of the game. That's not how this works, buddy.
With Jared McCain, he's not flashy. He's not, as we know, he's not the flash. He's not the fastest. He's not the quickest. He's just fundamental, and he knows how to play the game. And he's a rookie, so it's all going to catch up to him and most likely become a positive and be in the league for a long time as a guard who can shoot the basketball. And he knows how to get to where he needs to be to score. It's different now because he's playing against Anthony Davis versus someone that he played in the ACC at Duke, where the finishing is a little tougher here than it was on the collegiate level. But he knows how to get to a spot. He knows who he is, and that's what it is. And right now, again, as we talked about everybody leveling up because of the absences of now Maxey and Embiid, he's leveling up and playing these minutes. It's going to be good for him down the line. Now, right now, he's doing the things that he is capable of doing, just not finishing inside the rim. It's also game number 6 in his career, in his NBA career, where that stuff will start to fall. When he gets that scoop shot underneath the long arm defender in the paint, maybe he uses his body and pump fakes and gets a foul and gets to the free throw line and knock those 2 down. And Derek, as you mentioned, those 2 no-dip threes, back-to-back possessions for him, at least, in making those threes. All of that stuff will turn into a positive, most likely, for him. How many minutes there will be? Don't know. But right now, they need him. And the way that he is playing on this road trip, and especially with tonight, Nick Nurse is probably going to lean towards calling his number, even when Kyle Lowry is back on the bench and he's playing minutes with him. He may not play as many, but if his shot is falling, he's doing some positive things. He's not a net negative on the defensive end. And all of that might also help with Embiid behind him and those 2 wings, 2 or 3 wings when he's out there on the floor. Well, all that stuff will turn into a positive. These minutes are good for him. And we'll see how it all turns out once he's in his natural spot, coming off the bench with the rest of those players out there on the floor with him. All right, let's get to our final break here before we get out of here tonight. And we're going to do so, talk a little bit more about this game, some other positives, some things that need to clean up, kind of look ahead as well to the Charlotte Hornets who won tonight. We'll do that when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame show. All right, got to tell you about our good friends from Glatt Hair Restoration. And with Glatt Hair Restoration now teaming up with Morgenstern Center for Orbital and Facial Plastic Surgery, they recently welcomed the Glatt Group to practice, creating an invaluable opportunity to leverage Dr. Glatt's high caliber, brand equity, and begin an exciting chapter in Dr. Morgenstern's highly respected legacy. Our good friend and true advocate, teammate here at PHLY, John Marks, has spearheaded the marketing campaign on his new platform and for years, so he knows how all of this works. Glatt Hair Restoration is, again, under the direction of renowned plastic surgeon Dr. Ken Morgenstern, and it's the same peerless approach to care. Same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, same state-of-the-art location, same stellar results. Here's some of the things to know about the Glatt hair during all the stages of hair loss and the treatments ahead of you for your choice here with Glatt Hair Restoration. Laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, topical oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, hair restoration surgery as well. And each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment for you. Caring patient advocates work with you for the first phone call to the last follow-up visit, and they understand that this decision can be emotional and challenging. They're here to help you make your experience simple and stress-free. Now, bald is now optional. It's your choice. But if you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glad Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit gladhairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't say that you're probably all that fired up to go to a Sixers game right now, right? To go and spend your hard-earned money on tickets. But there are tons of other events in the Philadelphia area that can help you forget about these awful games that we're sitting through. It doesn't matter if it's another sporting event. It could be a concert. It could be a comedy show. It could be the theater. You might be more cultured than Derek, Devon, and I. Game Time, one of our longtime partners, has you covered, and they have a new feature called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Look, I say it all the time. We used Game Time to search through a bunch of tickets, right? In Las Vegas, at the Sphere, high demand, a lot of seats, but you have to really pick your spot, right? You have to be in the perfect spot to see the whole thing. And that's the case at different venues for concerts. If you sit in the wrong place, you're not going to have as good a time as if you were in the middle or you're up high where you get a great view of the stage. Game Time allows you to have it all. You see the all-in pricing right away. You get panoramic views of your seat, and they offer you 110% of the difference if you can find a better price on a different app. That's the lowest price guarantee offered through Game Time. It is the place to go for last-minute tickets, where you can find great deals on tickets right up to in the final hours leading into an event. Game Time is awesome. It's either one of our longest partners. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Devon?
It's late. So we go Game Time. Game Time.
No, what time is it? It's not late.
No, I'm saying I have to whisper it. Game Time.
Oh, my goodness.
Ooh.
Oh, my goodness.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Yeah, it's late, so I had to whisper it. I couldn't scream it like we normally do. We'll do that.
It was just funny because, like, before
Sunday.
I knew what you were transitioning to, it just sounded like that was your answer. Like it was a deadpan.
No.
Which I would have, as someone who only does deadpan humor, I would have appreciated that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Let's get to a couple of super chats from one from Bill to start us off. Hey, guys, what percent would you guys give the Sixers not making at least the 10th seed at the end? The 10th seed.
2%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 5%. It really is just what's the percent chance that Joel Embiid misses the season? Is kind of that's what you base that off of, because as long as he plays, I don't know what, 40 games, 35
40
games.
easy. Yeah. If he plays 30 games, he'll be the 10th seed.
Yeah, they'll be the 10th seed. I would be shocked, because I think what people are also not pricing in now, as we're talking about, the East has not been good, and they can, if they just win a few games, they get right in the mix. A lot of teams are going to get to February who do not have Joel Embiid or a player of his caliber look around and say, hey, that pretty good player on our team, I don't know that we need this guy anymore or right now, and think about flipping them to a team that is trying to compete. So you are going to see, I would say, more than a few teams drop off of a cliff from January 1st onward. And that's something that you can't factor in necessarily right now as we're all chicken littling the Sixers, but it will happen.
Just as a reminder, the 10th seed in the East last year won 36 games. You have to fall off a freaking cliff to not be the 10th seed.
Well, they are 1-7. In fairness, they're off the cliff. They're like they're hanging on for dear life right now.
With 74 games left.
With
74 games. And also as a reminder that last season when Embiid came back at the end of March into April, they won 8 games in a row, and they were fighting for the 4th or 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, and they missed it just because of tiebreakers and things of that nature. New York winning, and that's how they wind up in the play-in tournament. So when and they didn't have Paul George to go along with them with that roster that they had a season ago. So they're going to win more than 36. You said they're going to win more than 36 games and be right there in the mix for probably a top 6 seed, maybe even something a little bit higher than 6.
The
once
first
they get down
team
to it.
Outside the play-in was not to open up an old wound, was the Brooklyn Nets. They sucked.
Yeah.
Again,
and right now Brooklyn is in the top 6.
Respectfully, as Martian would say.
Right now Brooklyn's in the top 6. They're not going to be in the top 6 once things really get going. All right, let's get to Davon, aka Schoolboy Beats. Kyle, Reggie, and Eric need a laptop on the sidelines.
Well, one of them had it today. Eric was a DNP CD. I don't entirely know why Reggie was such a. I mean, I get it. Like, you need someone to initiate offense. Theoretically, he could at one point in his career.
Yeah,
but that's not.
What did I say on the pregame show, fellas? That I was worried that all we've seen from Reggie was it's Reggie Jackson time. Boy, was there a lot of it's Reggie Jackson time.
He launched like 3 threes in the span of like 35 seconds. It's like, oh my God, what are you doing?
He saw they were trailing and they needed points on the board. That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Reggie.
I think my honestly top 5 NBA Twitter tweet of all time from Robbie Callen. Shout out to Robbie. Different player, but same energy. In quotes, it's Jordan Clarkson time, said by Jordan Clarkson. That's like, so these type of players, it's all I think of whenever. Anyway, like some of them, Reggie got handed a couple of hot potatoes, and I sympathize for him in that scenario. But I just think like he has very clearly played with no real purpose other than I'm getting my shots up when he's in.
He was dribbling for about 8 seconds, and I couldn't help but think of you, Kyle, because of what we said in the pregame. He started dribbling between his legs out there on the perimeter. Shot clock down to 4. Now he's got to shoot it. And I was like, come on,
God bless
Reggie.
him, but not what I want to see. Not what I want to see.
Somebody in the chat earlier said that Ice Cube needs to call Reggie, Kyle, and Eric Gordon and put them in the big 3 because that's where their careers are right now.
They need a rebounder though. That's even there. It wouldn't work. You might have to send Drum with them.
Very true. And at least we feel like Kyle Lowry can play 10, 15 minutes to help him out in his right role. We keep it going. Bernard McCoy. Toby is better than Caleb and Oubre combined. I wouldn't take Tony Bradley over Drum right now. I would take Tony Bradley over Drum right now. Can't beat the Blue Coats. We need Grayson Allen. That's Bernard McCoy.
Bernard just cramming a lot into one.
Yeah.
Well, number one, I would not take Toby making $26 million a year. So that's always the problem with Tobias, right? Is it's not that he's not a useful player or a player with certain skills. It's that you don't want to give him the amount of money that he credit to him and his dad for getting him this money, but you don't want to pay him the amount of money it requires to get Tobias. I think
has anyone seen what Tobias is shooting from 3-point range so far?
Isn't it like 13% or something like
16.7%. He is 6 for 36, which in all honesty, both of those numbers would drive me freaking insane. Like him only shooting 4 threes in 33 minutes per night, which we saw last year, but it would like he record scratches so many possessions.
He's wearing out his welcome Well, it's not even his welcome. He's wearing out his return welcome in Detroit. I guess the fans.
That being said, is he
him.
better than Caleb and Oubre? Sure, but he's getting paid 20. How much did you get? Like 2 years, 50, whatever.
I think it's 26 million a year. I believe it was 52 million, if I remember correctly.
He should be better, but I also don't want him at that number anywhere near.
Yeah, no thanks. I've seen that already. I'm good.
If they're gonna die, I just want them to die a different way.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
I couldn't do it anymore.
Nah.
Neither could he. Like, and that's not. It's not casting aspersions on him. Everybody needed to move on from that one. As far as the rest of Bernard's super chat, I don't think
Tony Bradley
doing a whole heck of a lot. And Grayson Allen, who I'm a big, I shouldn't say I'm a big fan of. I was a believer of coming into the year. They're not just giving him away. They value him. He's on like a $70 million deal in Phoenix. So good luck, Bernard, but I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, nah. Bring Mo Bamba back. So you might as well get Kyle all riled up. Bring Mo Bamba back.
No Bamba.
I don't think he's even playing for the Clippers either, but good for him. Got another contract for that. All right, guys. Next up for the Sixers is, and I know we have our stuff on Sunday for the Sixers and the Hornets as they return home. The Sixers after this 0-3 trip. The Charlotte Hornets tonight did pick up a win. They blew out the Indiana Pacers by 20, 103-83. And Charlotte right now is 4-5. In the top six of the Eastern Conference. They are currently tied with the Indiana Pacers and the Brooklyn Nets in the top there. LaMelo Ball is playing some really good basketball. And they are 2.5 games up of the 76ers right now in the standings. So a big standings game on Sunday for the Sixers and the Hornets. As we
everything's a standings game. They're last in the league.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
I thought we were having fun late in the show.
No, we're having fun, but yeah, everything's a standings game.
A big standings game.
Man.
Sixers and the Hornets. LaMelo Ball. He's driving things there. Brandon Miller's playing some decent basketball. New coach Charles Lee for the Hornets.
Yeah, I have always kind of revolted at LaMelo Ball, but he's hooping right now and has finally. Well, I mean, we'll see if this holds. The big question is just, can he stay healthy, right? Because he's been an ultra productive guy, if a little bit erratic when he's on the floor, but he's played 22 and 36 games the last 2 seasons. That's going to be the big test. Like, I think the Hornets can probably hang around and be a semi-dangerous team if he's healthy, but that's the big thing. But look, he's getting up 12 threes a game, making close to 40% of them right now. It is the apex Ball family experience, right? Like when LeVar was drilling these guys and having them play that gimmicky style in high school, this is what it was all for LaMelo to make it to the NBA and implement it for a professional basketball team. So I'm excited to see LaMelo. I actually don't know if I've ever seen LaMelo play in person at this point. I feel like he's always hurt when they come here. Maybe I'm wrong. He probably has played one.
He's played white. Yeah, he's played a couple.
I'm just trying to think. It's been so long that maybe I'm just like blocking it out of my head. I feel like there was one that he came and put on a show. I always like the guys who are flashy, even if they're not as efficient or productive necessarily in person, adds to the experience. And with the Sixers as bad as they are right now, we need a little bit of outside entertainment from the visitors, right?
Did you see how many threes he launched today, Kyle?
I did not. How many?
18. He shot 5 for 18 from 3 and only like 33 minutes of play. It was wild. Brandon Miller was hooping over. He had a real good game.
I like Brandon Miller, man. I think he's Devon, you were the one who was in on the Hornets this year, right? You're on mute, by the way. Maybe he's still on mute. I think there you go.
Yeah, there you go. When we did our picks for the teams that could be a surprise team, I did say the Hornets just because of Charles Lee, how good of a coach he is, LaMelo healthy. Year 2 of Brandon Miller, we all agreed on that one. So yeah, off to a decent start, and fortunately for them too, we're 9 games in for them, and they're right there in the top 6 in the Eastern Conference. So it should be an entertaining game. See how many threes he gets up. It's definitely going to be 8 or above against the Sixers.
Bang the over.
Exactly.
Bang that over.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll see how it ultimately plays out for them later on down the line. We have one more super chat late here from Davon. Says probably could have kept Kai Jones though, playing some minutes for the Clippers. Probably could have kept.
Well, he
Kai
signed
Jones.
a minimum contract. Of course, you could have kept him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, we appreciate the donation, but what are we doing here? Why? How are we at the point where we are like hoping for Kai Jones?
Well,
we got to aim higher than that, don't we? Come on.
Do we though? I mean, it's. I think it's just like a cursed position in general, right? Sixers backup center. I'm trying to think of what are some comparable, like as soon as somebody moved to this position, everything good just was drained out of them. Maybe that's a diehard article at some point. Like what's the equivalent of the Sixers backup center? There's got to be like a government position, like everyone who worked Secretary of the Interior or something went on to, I don't know. I'm going to do some research on this, but yeah, Davon said he's just saying as the third center. Ease off of our guy, Davon. Thank you, Davon.
Jared saying, "Give me Furkan Aldemir." Look at that.
Oh no. Now we're getting into Looney Tune land. At least Kai Jones. The problem was
at least Furkan
right?
wore yellow shoes and entertained me at times.
No, that was Furkan Korkmaz.
Oh, jeez. It is 1:45.
You can tell it's past Derek's bedtime. I'm still wide awake, and you two are, well, not you two,
no,
more Derek.
Aldemir stinks. No.
Oh, man. Well, listen, folks, we appreciate everybody hanging out with us all week on these late nights on Monday, Wednesday, Friday for this 3-game West Coast trip. These late nights. We'll be back on Sunday. Watch along Sunday against the Hornets. Folks, come kick it with us. Might as well watch the Sixers play the Hornets, right? Watch it with us on Sunday. We'll begin pregame at 6:30. Watch along immediately after. Should be a fun time. Hopefully they get a win. Returning home. First home game for Paul George in front of the Philadelphia crowd. We also want to say we appreciate our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
And by the way, we got another super chat on the way out from Jack Dwight, who says, "Did you know Wilt holds more NBA records than the rest of all NBA players in history put together?" I don't know if that's a real fact or one of those like Paul Bunyan made up things, but I would believe it because you look at most of these records and it's like, oh, so-and-so did this 7 times and is second all time, and Wilt Chamberlain did it 347 times. So you could tell me almost anything about Wilt and I'd probably believe it.
Oh man. All right. Are we doing a 145 roll call? Or
Of course we are. I'm still awake.
The
people are still awake.
Call,
the people
folks.
supported. Hey, on the way out, I want from the chatters who are left here, before I shout you out, I want to see the worst player you can name that you would prefer as the third big right now. Give me some. I want to remember some guy's moment
Former
in the
Sixers?
chat. No, just anybody. Furkan Aldemir. We have people crying for Joanna Man in the chat. So that's
I saw Sharon Wright, who might be younger than Kyle Lowry. I'm not sure. I'll have to go double check. But I saw Sharon Wright in there.
Was Henry Sims in there? I didn't see Henry Sims yet.
Ooh,
Henry,
Mr. 500.
Henry himself. All right. Thank you to everyone for being here. We got Martian Lynch, who says Brian Skinner.
That's a good name. That's
some
a
big
good
money.
name.
Some good
Dinger
money.
brings up Dwayne Dedman. Sharon Wright from X-Men. We got my girl
Jabari
Winona,
Smith.
Night.
Not the new one, the old one.
Matt Geiger, Greg Monroe, Aaron Gordon's brother. Oh, no, that's actually, so somebody brought that up. He passed away, didn't he?
Yeah. Yep.
I was
car accident. Yeah.
That was very unfortunate. So I want to make sure it's clear that was in the chat. I want to make sure the chatter knows that Aaron Gordon's brother passed away, who was previously on the Sixers. We also have, now that we're going to have fun again, Digital says Charles Shackelford would be an option. Maurice Spates, Amir Johnson, Sean Bradley,
for Shaq and they got the
Todd
wrong
McCullough.
one.
Anyway, let me thank some people on the way out. Thank you to Tom Jackson. Thank you to Leonard Blocker. Thank you to Jaron Drummond. Thank you to Phi Chi, to X-Man, to Bootzilla.
Boots.
Bunch of super chatters tonight. We got Bill, couple from Davon, got one from our guy Bernard, and one late in the show from Jack Dwight. Thank you, fellas, very much. Thank you also to Philly 007, to JS. Who else is in here?
What up, James?
Peoples Hernandez, come on down. ECW, WWF. There's a lot of people in here with a lot of thoughts. Wawa Marvel, Mukhtar.
Look at
HTS, GOSU. I don't listen. There's too many tonight. There's a lot of letters. RC Campbell, Money Mar. I don't think Val Host made it, but I'll shout out Val anyway. Cannoli. Thank you to all our people for showing up for us. Even if the Sixers don't show up, we're here for you, and we love seeing each and every one of you here. We hope to see you next Friday at that watch party at Tir Nanog for the Orlando Magic game. Because if you're a sick enough person to stay up for this live show, you can definitely come out and have a few drinks and hang out with us.
Derek, where's your third center? Derek, you haven't said one. Come on, man.
No, I said one.
Who
did I have? I had I forgot. I had a decent.
Oh, this is great. Yeah. Great theater at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I definitely said one. Go back and watch.
He'll remember it at some point. Anyway,
Michael Olo
here,
Candy. Let's do it.
If you're here, how about this? Choo Choo Maduabum. That's the best callback you could get. The legend.
He's a fucking legend.
Oh my God!
That's all right.
First you forgot the name, and now you're cursing.
It was the lyrics of a song.
We're gonna get thrown off of the damn airwaves. Anyway.
Who's the guy who did that? Who made the Choo Choo song?
I don't know. It's too late in the night for this.
Come on.
I don't know.
If you're still here,
John Winter tweet. Shout out John Winter tweet.
If you somehow haven't subscribed to the channel, if you somehow don't get notifications, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that bell icon. And I want a round of applause via the thumbs up for super producer Bree, who just has to sit here in silence as we ramble on like wackos at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night. Thank you, Bree.
Thank you, Bree.
Very much. Thank you to all of you. We're getting out of here. We'll see you Sunday. Goodbye. Good luck.
See you, folks.
We all city like the mayor.